Hello everyone, and welcome back to another installment of Blood Bowl 2. I'm still doing this for my live blog, or for my college class. But in this case, I'm gonna make this a little bit more simple. Last video I recorded, I feel like I didn't do enough explaining. It was more reaction, more just me just being nervous at the game than actually explaining the game itself. So this time around, I'm planning on trying to be fairly quick and just explain the concept of the game and some mechanics I don't think I got a chance of explaining. For that, I'm just going to go to my team here just to trying to explain some of the stuff that best I understand. The first thing that's worth noting is that each player has 4 statistical stats as that helps determine how good they are, what to keep in mind, and along with other things. First off, here we got a movement allowance. This in the game pretty much determines how many spaces or how far the player can move. Now, there are instances where the player can move beyond, like in this case, the 7, at least 2 more times. But the problem is those additional 2 steps, as the character has to make a chance luck roll, or percentile wise, to see if he fails or he trips. Strength here determines the value of the player, so to speak, in that if they're attacking another player or trying to create a way in or knocking out in the ball carrier, this is what they're competing against. Is my character's strength versus the other character's strength, and usually if those strengths are even, that means I get 1 dice, 1 chance, so to speak, to be successful, fail, or just break even. But if my strength is higher than the opposing player's strength, that means I get 2 dice. In the rare and good occasions, where my character's strength is double than my opponent's, 3 dice, which is what I'm favorably looking for, because the more dice I have in this game, which I'll explain the dice later, the better my odds are of getting a good roll, a good action to either knock out the opposing player's character, this football player. Now, also, another thing to keep in mind is that the same rules apply to the opposing player as well, and even more so that if my player's strength is actually less than the opposing player, then that means that they actually decide the dice roll instead, which at any given time at least want to be even. Agility, on the other hand, is a role ideal for trying to attempt dodges past as opposing players or characters tackle spaces, passes, catches, and just even pick up the ball. It's more of an ideal stat for catchers and throwers, but that's something to keep in mind. Now, armor value. Now, usually the game is making an unseen dice roll of 2d6s, and armor value determines 1, if my player gets stunned, 2, if they get it KO'd, or 3, injured. Now, usually my goal in the game is trying to break the opposing player's armor value. In that case, because if I can injure them, that takes them out of the game. KO, well, that takes them out for the first half or second half, while stun just temporarily knocks them out for a turn. Now, the skills here, certain players get them, that helps them. In the case of my blitzer, right here, the block skill prevents the player from being knocked down after a block on a skull bash result, which I'll explain later. And not all these players get skill. For example, my linemen and they don't get the blocking skill or any skills to begin with. The standard, the bread and butter of your team, so to speak. Now, there are more unique units. As in another case, like the thrower, his skills, stat-wise, he may not be as great as the blitzer or the lineman, but his skills are more angled towards picking up the ball and actually throwing it. And yet, there are some moments where the more unique units, like my ogre here, the real muscle of my team, now he may have got good skills, like he can do additional damage against as my opposing player. He can resist damage, or even have the possibility to throw a teammate who has a matching skill that allows him, or even just be able to be on his best on his own. But yet at the same time, some of these more extraordinary characters had these negative traits, like in this case a bonehead, and there's a percentile chance that he may fail or his role or that percentile chance and just simply do nothing. Just be a big lumbering idiot, so to speak. But sometimes that can make them more worthwhile, so to speak. And I think that pretty much sums up the kind of values, or at least what I'm trying to look for in the game. Like, there's some stats, like I want my stats that's for these characters to be higher than my opposing against the opposing player, because at least in that way I have a chance to win. But additionally, at the same time, I gotta be careful of the skills that they may have, because they can be good, they come out for the long run, but at the same time they can really hurt me if I'm not careful. Now, the one thing I want to do is just do a simple sort of tutorial game introduction. Pretty much I'm going into the campaign mode to help better explain some of these rules in the gameplay, and I'm hoping that it doesn't have a time limit in the game like it did in my first video. If it does, I'll try to remain on the fly. The first match of the campaign shouldn't be hard at all. I should have a good chance. But before I move in there, settings, I like hearing the characters.
Time to put all that training and knowledge to the test. May Nuffle bless your blocking dice.
Yeah, I like having these characters narrate. It helps make the game feel less lonely, but at the same time, they can make some interesting commentation. But in this case, I'm just going to do a new campaign and let them do the talking.
All you Cabal Vision viewers out there in the old world and beyond. I hope your crystal ball is fully charged. If not, find yourself a wizard, chain him to it. Because the 25-13 season promises to be one hell of a show, doesn't it, Bob?
It sure does. Oh, an iron, Jim.
Iron what, Bob? Your shirt?
Chains, Jim. Iron chains for chaining up your wizard. Iron is best. It's harder to enchant than steel or silver. Oh, and don't forget to break their fingers as well.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, fascinating. And we may come back to that later. In the meantime, all you sports fans should keep it here on brand new Cabal Vision HD. But what about all you new viewers who are joining us for the first time? How would you explain a game of Blood Bowl to someone who hasn't experienced the joy and delight of it before, Bob?
Firstly, I'd say, under what toilet in the realm of chaos have you been hiding? Then I'd begrudgingly explain that Blood Bowl is a visceral, violent sport where two teams of players must get an inflated pig bladder or ball across a large field into the opponent's end zone by any means necessary to score a touchdown. The catch? There's only one ball. The opposing team is trying to do exactly the same thing. The match lasts for 2 halves and 8 turns. The team with the most touchdowns.
Very nicely summed up, Bob. So, what about the teams? It promises to be an interesting season, especially for the Reichland Reavers. Let's remind ourselves by taking a quick look what happened in their final game last year.
Yeah, I will say, I like having that narration. I like having that quirky talking, and you can expect a fair amount of that. I think they do a great job explaining the game, giving a good idea of how the game is played, and what you expect. That's the fascination in this game. Oh,
This is the
before I go
final
on.
game from last season. Reavers versus the gouged eye. Just look at those human lumps. Why ain't they moving?
A frozen spell. Could they not just let it all go?
Look at player 16, Josh Kershaw. He just stands there and lets that block orc smack him right in the kisser. Useless git.
They don't seem very sprightly when they're controlling either, do they?
No. No wonder this team hasn't won anything here. There's only so many double skulls rolls in the pit. Their fans start claiming that's a load of steaming bull.
Ah, no, that was the Reavers' last public appearance, summing up 10 seasons of decline.
Why haven't they been fired yet, Jim? That's what I can't understand.
The word is, Bob, that J.J. Griswold Jr. hasn't got the cash to replace them.
Yeah? Oh, Griswold was once said to be even richer than you, Jim. He's now down to his last few pennies after paying the likes of Griff Oberwald his massive wage for several decades. I guess he'll just have to put up with using last season's dregs. Anyway, enough yapping. Let's see how they do in this preseason match.
Alright. For those wondering, in the campaign you play as the coach for the Reichland Reavers. And any of that might be wondering, the skinny guy, Jim, he's a vampire. And the big guy, that's Bob, he's an ogre. Warhammer, what are you gonna do? Fantasy and football. But in this game, in the first tutorial game, all I have to do is just score a touchdown. Simple match, just one, and that's all I need to do. And at this point, I'm just gonna play a simple game and try to get through it and try to explain some more of the concept of the game and how it plays. If not, well, these guys, Jim and Bob, they may do the explaining for me. Who knows? Let's play.
Let's see how the Reavers get on. It's their first match, under the leadership of the new coach in a preseason friendly.
Never use the word friendly in connection with Blood Bowl, Jim. You'll end up getting sued for false advertising. Okay, let's take a look.
Welcome back, sports fans. Jim Johnson and Bob Bifford here. Oh dear, this is a totally unfair. I can't understand what they're even doing on the same field.
Yeah, right now I'm expecting this game to be fairly quick. As you may have saw earlier, the ratings are extremely different, one-sided, but that's the first match of the game. It's supposed to be a simple introduction into the game. And here's the coin flip, and the opponent is choosing.
This game features a human team. They're adaptable and tasty, but they can't always specialize to the...
Alright. Yeah, I got it. Some stuff I can read later, but
Is that... Oh no, it can't be. In the Reavers dugout. Isn't that the legendary ex-coach, Helmut Zwinner?
Sure is, Jim. But you know, as a favor to JJ, Slimmer's come out of retirement to mentor the new coach for the first few days.
And what about that incident that forced him to leave in the first place?
What? That tabloid sting in '04? Involving a pair of halflings, Jam, and a confused hippogriff? Oh, that was nothing. Nothing was proven. Even in retirement, Helmut's continued to be a loyal ally.
Well, he's certainly experienced, Bob. The new head coach should listen to his advice.
alright. Look at it right. I don't have a timer at the bottom right. And again, first game. Alright. A fair amount is pop-ups, but Oh. Yeah, it seems like the game... Yeah, the tutorial-wise, it seems like the game has just made it easy on me. Like, I don't have to worry about death. Yep. Yeah, this is going to be a fairly straightforward game at this moment. They really did make this easy. Yeah, in the first game, yeah, there's usually 4 kind of stats, and I think just because this is the tutorial level of the game, the first mission, well, the first game of the campaign, my bad, I'm so used to playing fantasy games and sports games, that this is going to be fairly quick. And like I said, it's just an introduction. Usually there's like dice rolls that determine how the game plays. Ace, but... And the way dice rolls work...
A great game so far. Seem to be having a little dull moment, but it'll pick up any second, I promise.
Alright, just gonna... Yeah, the way dice rolls, how they work, is, to sum it up, there's 5 kind of rolls I can remember. A skull on your roll is the one thing you do not want to get. Because what happens is, your player... if you're doing the roll, gets knocked down. Only you. If it's for the opposing team that rolls a skull, same thing. Now, now when that happens, usually what happens in a normal game, it does what is called a turnover, which in that case, it switches to the other team instead. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. Now, the alternative, if the second worst roll you can get is a skull, but a skull with a bash symbol next to it. That means both you and the opposing player both get knocked out. Now, that's the second worst thing you want, because it still causes a turnover, so to speak.
A sports drink? They do a haven of clan pestilence? No thanks, I'll give it a miss. I may not be the sharpest spike on the armor, but I'm not that stupid.
The middle ground roll is like a blue arrow symbol, which is probably the best option you want to try and go for. It's actually not the best, a good default option. It's not good, but it's not bad either kind of deal. Because all it does is just, it pushes the opposing player back. That's all it does. So really not too much to really say about that one. Now, the second best way to get is a yellow bash symbol, which pretty much just knocks the player down. As you can see over here, how these guys are being knocked down. It doesn't really injure them, it just knocks them down and reduces their movement. Which is good if you want to try and make some breathing room. Now, preferably the best dice roll you want to get.
Those players are running each other ragged. Were you much of a runner on the field?
Absolutely not, Jump. I stood on the line of scrimmage and my victims, rival players, came to me. I can't see Reaver's star player and Captain Griff Overwald on the field, Jim. And where's the mighty Zod? Why is he not ripping linemen's heads off their shoulders? Huh? I thought the violence quota was severely down. Why are they not here?
Haven't you heard, Bob? Ever since his men's flagrant gruff by Griff flopped, he hasn't been seen all off-season. Rumor has it his investors are not happy and want their money back.
I tried some of that scent. What was he thinking? I'm an ogre, and even I couldn't stand it. I'd rather take a drag from a goblin's crotch than hear that. What about Zud? Why isn't he here?
Zud's so disgusted with the Reaver's performance. But if a Reichland legend like Helmut Zwimmer is back, you never know.
I don't like it. The whole point of watching the Reavers is the glorious devastation and maiming. Left hand on swing. I love a good maiming bee. Yeah, smells like a good old-fashioned one.
Now, usually the best kind of... Now, this is... It literally seems like a pointless match at this point. But, beginning games, what are you going to do? No stress. It takes away from the game, but in hindsight, I really didn't have a lot of time to really get a full game in head. I'm still on the whole college schedule. But the last thing I want to say is that the last kind of good roll you want to get, it is a bash symbol with an exclamation mark in the center. Because usually what that means is that not only do you knock the opposing player down, but at the same time, and you have the potential actually stunning them, knocking them out, or injure them, which is literally the best kind of roll you can aim for.
This reminds me of the time you got born and chained all the goblin technicians together to create a living mace.
Oh, yeah. Now that was a weapon of mass repair. What's that? That ball moved faster than a snuttling with the runs.
Yeah, that's the disappointment about this kind of match right now. It's all just a feel good, just introduction in the game before it literally crushes your spirits as the real multiplayer game and just team management just murders your own favorite team. Warhammer. You know how to crush spirits both in the board game as well as the video games. I'm not joking. It really does crushes your spirits in so many ways. If you ever get a chance to play Mordheim City of the Dam, or check out the videos I have recorded of that game, you'll know what I'm talking about. That game is on literal percentile. And if you're not careful, even a good 95% chance on that game is enough to ruin your day. But that's Warhammer for you. It's just, it's brutal to the final touch. I'll tell you this much, there's no cheering for me.
No cheering. Didn't miss the touchdown.
It's too much of an easy match, too much of a tutorial. But like I said, it brings you in, it lures you in, and before you know it, it just crushes your spirits in real games.
Looks like the Saints chickened out. Reavers win by default. That's the only game they win all season. I was
Yeah, campaign-wise, oh, wait.
Well, would you look at that? The Reavers won!
Yeah, but the Saints whipped out early.
Hold on. I have shocking news. JJ has fired the whole Reaver squad.
Not that shocking, Jim. Griswold's having a clear-out before the 25-13 season gets underway. One default win against no-hopers like the Saints ain't gonna cut it. He should have done it sooner.
So if the whole squad's been sacked, where's this new coach going to find his team, Bob?
JJ's a cunning old devil, Jim. My contacts say he can get a whole squad of fresh-faced wannabe new players from the rejects found on that reality Cabal Vision show, Reichland Ain't Got Talent.
Sounds like a risky strategy to me, Bob.
Risky, Jim? I've seen snotlings come up with more competent plans.
Alright. At this point, I'm just going to do a... At this point, I'm just going to do a similar team layout as my other game before, but as my other team at the moment.
How's this new coach doing so far, Bob?
Well, he managed to put some names in the roster so far, Jim. I wouldn't call them contenders for the Chaos Cup just yet.
You know what? Since the game is right now early in stage and don't expect the campaign actually, I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna show it gonna matter, but Nope. Missed one thing.
The stadium is like a second home for a team. Deal's done, contract signed. The Reichland Reavers have a sponsor.
I only hope they read the small print, Bob.
I'll tell you the
I
truth.
remember I once signed a contract to get eternal life. It sounded so simple. But the whole craving blood, dread vampire curse thing, well, that wasn't in 12-point Helvetica, I can tell you.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, the sponsors, I don't know what they do in this game. I assume it's just a small bonus to money or just something else. But right now, I'm not going to continue on with the whole campaign. I just want to get that introduced into the game. See how that, plays and, just introduce the game concept-wise. Because right now, I don't really have a lot of time, and my plan was just to give better explanations. You can watch the first video to see some of the stuff I was talking about in regards to dice rolls. But at the moment, yeah, this video was just designed to be an explanation. I hope it, give a good idea of what I was trying to explain, and help give a better idea how the game works. But until then, and I hope you enjoy the explanation and enjoy the little taste of the campaign. I know at this point that there's no argument that the campaign is just going to keep on getting harder and harder until it literally crushes your spirit. Either way, until next time, thanks for watching, and remember, don't panic, chaos is as working. I love that slogan and from Mordheim. Either way, have a good one, folks.